Ladies and gents, all things covered, Patrick Peterson and Brian McFadden. We got a special episode for you guys today. If you're a college football fan, you enjoy watching this guy go deep post routes, score big-time touchdowns. If you're an NFL fan, you love seeing this guy do the same thing, unless you were rooting against his team. So clearly, if you were a fan of an AFC South opponent that was not named the Houston Texans, you probably didn't like this guy very much. A South Florida native out of Miami, 305, stand up, a national champion with, it's kind of hard for me to say this, but I got to give him his just due, with Miami, all right? Yeah, national champion with Miami. Number 3 overall pick in the 2003 draft. Yes, he was a top 3 pick at the wide receiver position, 7-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro. They missed a few years. He should have had more than 5, but we'll talk about that a little later. Number 11 all-time in receiving yards and receptions in the National Football League, semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2022. Houston Texans, stand up. Miami Hurricanes, stand up. Andre Johnson is joining us here. All things covered. Pat P, Brian McFadden, Dre, man, thank you for joining me. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. How you been doing?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. It's always a pleasure having, even though, I went to Florida State, I've had quite a few Hurricanes on here, man. You guys are all professional individuals outside of when we go to war back in those days. But, hey, I appreciate you joining me. And speaking of Hurricanes, let's start back to one of the high points of your collegiate career, 2002 Rose Bowl against Nebraska. I mean, you guys just dominated Nebraska from start to finish, man. How confident were you with your team going into that ball game and just easily taking care of business against the Cornhuskers?
We were very confident. I think the year before we had played Florida in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
That was the year we felt like we had the one loss. That was the year we beat Florida State for the first time in like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
We were ranked the number 1 team, but we all had one loss. I think the only undefeated team at that time was Oklahoma, and that was the year Oklahoma and Florida State played in the national championship.
In the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, so we felt like we were supposed to be in that game, and but they ended up putting Florida State in the national championship, and we played in the Sugar Bowl, played Florida in the Sugar Bowl, and we dominated them. And I think when that happened, it just took off for us. So that next year, man, we were just, even just summer workouts, man, the way guys came in and worked their butts off, man. And it was just, it was either win it all or it was nothing, you know. So, we were very confident in the team we had coming back that following year.
Yeah, and for you individually speaking, Dre, man, you had, 7 catches, 199. They didn't stand a chance. And I remember that game still like it was yesterday. They kept trying to bump and run you. You were too physical at the line of scrimmage. You were just winning that easily. Your first 2 steps, you were getting on top of them, man. Did you think you were going to have that type of ball game?
I didn't know how it would play out. At the time, they had the top cornerback in the country, which was Keough Craver.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's all I heard all week was like, how are you going to do against him? He had all the hype and things like that. And Curtis Johnson, who was our receiver coach at the time, told me, he was like, man, we're going to throw you like 3 or 4 deep balls. So I was just like, yeah, whatever. Coach will tell you something, but you don't know if it's really going to happen or whatever. So in practice, we were just throwing the ball deep. Every time the ball came to me, it was just a deep pass. So I was just like, well, shit. I mean, evidently this must be the game plan. So I was very confident going into the game, and I was just out to prove everybody wrong because all week, all I heard was about him and all the hype about him. So
yeah, and I can tell you this much, Dre, you earned a lot of draft leverage, and he lost a lot of draft leverage in that ball game. You know what I mean? That ball game alone, even though going into that game, you was already a made man, in my opinion. But, man, what you did on that national stage, that jump starts you getting in that top 5, eventually getting drafted to the Houston Texans. Where would you rank, and I'm asking you this question, and I need an unbiased answer. We've had this discussion quite a few times in barbershops, hair salons. If you're a football fan, you probably talked about this when it comes to some of the best collegiate teams on the gridiron to ever do it. But that 2002 team, clearly, if you look at the NFL prospects, man, it's a laundry list of guys that were on that team, right? Some guys that were starters, role players, but eventually became big-time significant pieces in the National Football League. Would you consider that team in 02 to be the best college team to ever do it, or one of the best?
I always say
that 01 team that led to the 2002 Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I always say we were the best.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you just look at the talent on that team alone, you had guys like, God rest his soul, Sean Taylor and Antrell Rowe, Kellen Winslow, Roscoe Parrish, Willis McGahee was playing fullback in that game. Frank Gore. You had guys that were on that team who wasn't even getting in the game. They were just playing special teams at the time.
Yeah.
So, if you just look at the talent on that team alone, I don't think you can find you can match a team like that, just talent for talent, guy for guy. If you look at the first round draft picks alone on that team, it was crazy guys drafted alone on that team. You've never seen nothing like that happen before. So I always say I feel like it's the best team ever.
What was the practices like for you guys? Talking about mentioning some of the names on both sides. I can imagine the practices were hell, right?
Man, practice was crazy, man. You had so much talent on the field. I remember sitting and talking with scouts, and they was like, y'all practice is like an NFL practice. Mm-hmm. Just with so much talent, the way we practice, how fast we practice, like everything was. Coach Coker used to always tell us, we only gonna be out here as long as y'all want to be out here. Mm-hmm. So the tempo was always like at a pace, man, like a crazy pace. And it was fun, man. But at the same time, we knew we were competing against guys in practice that was gonna be better than the guys we played on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of, competition, your quarterback was a guy who got the job done, but he seemed to be, slept on a little bit. Talk about Ken Dorsey. Of course, you two guys shared that co-MVP for that national championship game. But why do you think a lot of people slept on Ken Dorsey throughout his time there at Miami?
Because Ken Dorsey wasn't the flashy guy. Mm-hmm. He just did things the right way. And, if it came down to checking the ball down to the running back, if he had to check it down to the back 5 times, that's what Dorsey was going to do. He never did anything crazy. He just played the game the right way, real quiet guy. And just an all-around great dude. And I think he didn't really get his just due because of the talent that he had around him also, because, most people would say, well, anybody could have, did what he did with that talent. But I don't necessarily agree with that because, at the end of the day, the quarterback is the one who's, orchestrating everything. So if you're not making the right plays with the players that you have, then you don't win.
No doubt. Quarterbacks are important. And like you said, he wasn't flashy, but boy, he was consistent. He got the job done and he made plays. You guys had an outstanding, prolific connection down there in Miami. And because of that, you got drafted to the Houston Texans. I mentioned that 3rd overall to the Houston Texans in the 2003 draft. It was a battle, though. When you look at the top wide receivers that were slated to go top 5, top 10, it was basically between you and, God bless the dead, Charles Rogers from Michigan State. Charles went 2. Right? Yeah, to Detroit. Charles went 2. You went 3. Headed into draft day, where did you feel like you were probably going to go? Did you have any indication that I might go to the Texans? Did you think you were going someplace else?
No, I know I wasn't going to Detroit. I know I wasn't going 1 or 2. Because I never took a visit to Cincinnati. And when I went to Detroit on a visit, I just talked to Steve Mariucci was the head coach at the time. And I literally talked to him for maybe 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting in the room the rest of the time I was there till it was time for me to go to the airport. Yeah. So I didn't really have good feelings about it. I felt like I would either go 3 or 4, gotcha. Houston or to the Jets. Uh-huh. I spent a lot of time with the Texans, with the coaches. And I was actually talking to David Carr a lot before I actually got drafted. So
Gotcha.
I felt like Houston or the Jets were the two places for me.
Yeah, well, it worked out well for you. Real quick, Dre, talking about getting drafted to the Texans. Do you remember your combine numbers and what did you actually run?
I ran 4.36.
Uh-huh.
In the 40.
And how much did you weigh?
I was weighing 230 pounds at the time.
So you were 230, ran 4.3.
Yeah.
Were you disappointed in that time? Because the crazy part about fans, because I played against you at Miami, played against you in the league, and they don't believe you were that big and that fast.
Yeah, a lot of people don't believe it. A lot of people didn't believe it when I was coming out for the draft.
Yeah.
I had a lot of coaches that were like, you don't look that fast. What do you think you're going to run in the 40? And I told all of them, I was like, I'm going to run 4.3. Like, it wasn't a doubt in my mind that I wouldn't run 4.3. So most of them was like, the best you'll run is 4 or 5, or whatever. So yeah. I just kind of chuckled at it and laughed. And, when I ran, I had one of my friends standing at the line, looking at some of the coaches' watches.
Yeah.
And, Coach Swayze was there also. So I knew once Coach Swayze told me what I ran, I knew I had done. I knew I did what I was supposed to do. So.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the best combine performances for a wide receiver. When you look at your measurables and everything else, that you jumped almost a 40, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 39, something like that, right?
40 and a half.
40. Oh, I shortchanged my bad. 40 and a half. You had to get me right. Hey, so coming from such a dominant collegiate program, going to a team that, is basically coming off their expansion season, how much did losing weigh on you? Because you guys went through a lot of growing pains when you first got to Houston.
It was tough, man. I took it as a challenge, though, because I was just like, I want to be the guy who helped this organization get over the hump. You know what I'm saying? So, or, get his first playoff win, eventually, hopefully win the Super Bowl one day.
Mm-hmm.
I just took it as a challenge, man. It was tough. It was very hard because, when you come from winning and then you go to a place and, you're losing a lot of games. Been 2-14 twice in my career. Those seasons are very long, very hard. Just a lot of, depressing times, at those times. I remember coming in the locker room I think it was my second year, and man, I just lost it. Like, I just walked in the locker room and I just slung my helmet like into my locker so hard, and my receiver coach grabbed me. He grabbed me and put me around the corner. He was just like, "Man, look, I understand what you're feeling, coming where you come from, but you just have to control what you can control." And he was like, "As long as you're out there giving it your all, to accomplish, the ultimate goal," then he was like, don't get down on yourself. He was like, just continue to be the person who you are. And that meant a lot for him to do that, to put me to the side and tell me that, because I didn't know how to deal with it because I had never experienced nothing like that before. So it was very tough on me in the beginning.
And that's a cool, point that you just highlighted for us, because as a lot of fans, they feel like they're more invested than the people that are actually going to play the game. Right. And, on social media, fans be attacking teams and attacking players. Like, players don't care when they lose.
Right.
Like, no one cares more about losing than the players. And I would even say that as far when it comes to coaches, because the coaches are coaching, but they ain't out there in the battlefield. You know what I mean? Especially for in an NFL season, it's a long, strenuous season. And then when you do everything that you're supposed to do, you just can't find a way to get those wins. Man, that can do something to you, not just from the physical standpoint, to the mental aspect as well. And fans just don't get it. They feel like they're more invested than the players. No one hurts more than players hurt when we lose. You know what I mean? It messes up your whole week. You can't even enjoy your week. You might want to go out, hang out a little bit. Man, no, have you then lost 3 or 4 of them? Like, man, you hiding.
Right. I think the thing is like, I think they look at the TV part of it, because So like after a game, no matter who won or lost, we always go over, shake hands.
Yep.
You see us smiling and talking after the game, but they don't understand those are your brothers, even though you're competing against each other. Yeah. Those may have been guys you went to high school with, played against in college. So even like me and you, every time we played against each other after the game, we always, what's up, man? What's going on? How your family doing? Just talking and laughing. But those are relationships you built over time.
No question.
I think they see that and they may feel like, oh, we don't care. It's not that we don't care. Like, we're competing against our brothers. Like, at the end of the day, it's still a brotherhood. But see what goes on behind the scenes, and what goes on in the locker room. So I think they just get the glimpse of the TV and they just kind of they may figure that, guys really care about it.
And it's all about sportsmanship. It's all about respecting the players you're going against.
Right.
Because during the ball game, I'm trying to do my job, you're trying to do your job. At the end of the game, it's a mutual respect. And some fans might take that, oh man, you just lost a heartbreak, and you go shake his hand, or you can go take a picture. Hey man, the game was over. You win some, you lose some.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a part of life. You know what I mean? But it's all about respecting the crowd that everyone puts forth to go out there and play on Sundays. 2006 was a huge year for the Houston Texans, right? They had the number 1 pick. They shocked a lot of people by taking Mario Williams. Did you think the Houston Texans were pretty close to selecting Reggie Bush to add to a big-time playmaker like yourself and kind of take that offense to the next level? What was your thought process at looking at that 2006 draft and the direction the organization may go?
To be honest, I didn't think we was going to take Reggie. I knew Reggie was, he was a hell of a, player in college. He was a hell of a football player. He was amazing, man. He was crazy, like some of the stuff he did and when he was playing. But I always just felt like we was going to build defensively. I never felt like we would take him. I know a lot of people did want him there. I remember playing. I think we played San Francisco the last game of the season. They called it the Reggie Bush Bowl. It was out of.
So basically, the loser was going to get Reggie, right?
Yeah. So, man, it was crazy. There was a lot of hype behind that game, and we ended up losing. And of course, everybody thought we would take him, but we ended up taking Mario. But I never felt we would take him. I always felt like we would go defensively.
Yeah. What about another player that was a top collegiate player right from the state of Texas, Vince Young? Do you think he would have worked out in Houston if you guys would have pulled the trigger on him?
I think it probably could have. That was another thing, man. People were walking around with Texan jerseys with Vince Young on the back. With
really?
Yeah. It was. People don't realize, like, you have to be here in Texas to realize how big Vince Young is. Like, I came in 2003 and I was hearing about.
Wow. So your rookie year, you were hearing about Vince Young.
Yes. Like, Vince is bigger than anybody in Houston. Like, wow. Vince is the man. Like, Vince, like I never seen so much. Like, people just respect him so much, man. Him going to Texas and winning the national championship.
Yeah,
man, they are like they are Vince Young crazy here. And when he, I remember seeing him for the first time at a Rockets game, and he walked out, and like people were going crazy, like, and I'm just like, damn, like this is so. That was my first time ever seeing him in person.
Was he already with the Titans, or was he still
he was in college?
He was in college, and people were going crazy.
Yeah, people was going crazy, and it was just crazy, man. Like, me and him have a great relationship. He used to always tease me. He used to always say Young to Johnson. So he always wanted to play here and play for his hometown. Eventually, unfortunately, that didn't happen, but. Me and him still have a great relationship right now to this day. I see him from time to time and stuff like that. So, but all around, just a good dude, man. And Vince is Houston, man. Like, they love him.
Man, I didn't know that. I didn't know he had that type of image in H-Town. Man, so just imagine if he did play for the Texans.
Man, listen, we played them his rookie year And he broke like probably about a 30 or 40-yard run to end the game.
Uh-huh.
Bro, we were playing in Houston.
Yeah. And everybody was cheering. I remember that play.
You would have thought we was playing in Tennessee.
Yes.
Like, was going crazy. He was blowing kisses to the stands and everything. Like it was, bro, it was a crazy, like, it was crazy. You had to be there just to witness it, but it just showed you how big he was in this city, man.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a 39-yard run, and I think it was in overtime.
Yeah.
In overtime. Yes, sir. VY, Houston legend, Texan legend. Better yet. So let's fast forward a little bit in your career. You know, how rewarding was it for you to finally make the playoffs in your 9th year?
Man, that was that had to be probably one of the biggest weights off my shoulders throughout my career. Because it took so long, you wanted it so bad, you know, just to experience it. And then I was hurt at the time that we actually clinched, you know, to making the playoffs.
Yeah,
we played Cincinnati, so it felt bad not to be out there to help the team win. But you know, I was able to come back and play in the playoff game against Cincinnati. But just that accomplishment, man. Like when we got back to the stadium, it had to be probably about 15, 20,000 fans, you know, just outside of the stadium, just waiting for us to come back, you know, on the buses and stuff. So
that was the first time the organization ever made it to the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
That's the first. Yeah.
So it was a great moment, man. We had a bunch of fans here. The atmosphere of that first playoff game, I've never seen nothing like that. And all the games I played here in Houston, I've never, ever seen an atmosphere like that ever. Like it was, when I tell you that stadium was rocking, like, I don't know how loud it was, but I've never experienced nothing like that ever playing here.
Yo, Dre, so you know how it is. Like as a rookie, when you play in preseason games, you know, the vets that tell you, hey, man, don't worry, preseason is nothing like regular season. Everybody moving faster in the regular season. And then, of course, you know, your regular season, when you get ready to get to the playoffs, the older vets will tell you the same thing. Playoff football is on a whole nother level than the regular season. Was that accurate for you, getting to that level and playing the playoffs?
Very much so. Very much so, because I think the thing, what every play counts in football when you think about it, right? Because it's so hard to win a game.
Mm-hmm.
Every play matters. But when you get in the playoffs, it's win or go home. So
no question.
The magnitude of every play is so important in the playoff game. So you can't make mistakes. Like you can't, it's no more my bads or I messed that one up, you know, like, because if you don't get it right, you're not going to win. So, I mean, you can tell just the focus, the detail, everything, like in playoff football compared to regular season football. Like, it's different, man. And I got a chance to experience it, and it was a great experience, man.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. How different would that playoff run have been if Matt Schaub was healthy?
Man, I tell people all the time, I think that was our year to possibly win it all if everyone was healthy.
Yep.
We was a hell of a football team, man. Like we had a lot of players, a lot of guys making plays for us offensively and defensively, and it was I don't know, man. It's always if he was healthy, you know. But we went out there with TJ and we gave it our best shot, and you know it still came down to the last play of the game.
Exactly. People forget about that. It's not like you guys just laid down.
Right.
You still had a legit shot to win that ball game. And let me refresh our listeners and our viewers about that playoff run. So you beat Cincy in the first round, and then in the wild card. And then you lost to the Ravens in the divisional round, and you had TJ Yates at the quarterback position. And then, of course, the Patriots played in the conference championship game, and the Ravens lost to the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. So if you beat the Ravens, and even with TJ, they can say whatever they want, so you almost had a shot. You would have went on to play the New England Patriots, and if you look at the personnel on both sides of football for y'all matched up extremely well against the Patriots.
Yeah.
And I guess one would say if you had Schaub, based on how well Schaub was playing that year, I mean, y'all was like 7-3 in the 10 games he played in.
Right.
That the one play that was left out there against the Ravens, Schaub would have made.
Yeah, it was a play. A lot of people don't realize, if you go back and watch the film on that game, the first play of the game, we ran a boot play on the first play of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was Kevin Walter or Jacoby Jones. They was in the end zone wide open. Nobody was around them. Nobody had covered them. But I guess TJ didn't see it, and he ended up throwing the ball to me. There were two plays in that play, and there was a third down play where TJ got pressured, and I was coming across on the shallow cross, and he had to throw the ball early because he got pressured. But if he could hold that ball for one more second and I can clear the linebacker, there was nobody on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that you see from the game that could just change the whole thing in the football game.
And as it's funny, you mentioned that because, you were talking about earlier the difference in playoffs. That one mistake or that one mishap, that one, not hitting the open pass catcher could be the difference in you advancing to the next week, or going home. Yeah,
it is, man. It's so big. Like, you just look back. Those were the two plays that always stand out in my mind about that game. And just imagine you hit that first play of the game for an opening touchdown. That's 7 points that's unaccounted for.
Quick. And when you start fast in the playoffs, that's what you want.
Yeah. So
when you start fast in the playoffs, that's definitely what you want, man. Yeah. But people forget about that year, man. That if Schaub was there, y'all definitely could have done damage. I think so. You know what I mean? And still did damage. Just didn't have that one or two plays that you needed to beat the Ravens. Most recently, your former collegiate teammate, Frank Gore, and we had him on the show a few weeks ago as he prepared for his boxing match against Darren Williams. Participated in a boxing match. And then, the funny thing about social media, Dre, a lot of people on Twitter are saying they would love to see you in the ring. And they believe you got a lot of skills based on what happened back in 2010 with a situation with Cortland Finnegan. And Dre, I know you're a quiet, cool dude, always, keeping to himself, having fun, but ain't no rah-rah type guy. What, I never asked you this question, but what got you to that level? Because like I said, man, when I saw the highlights, I said, man, what the freak happened? I said, what did he do to Dre to get Dre like that? Like, and it wasn't just, I feel some type of way. No, you really felt some type of way. What does a cornerback have to do to bring that type of, that Andre Johnson out to the forefront?
Well, I mean, that was something that had built up over years.
Because y'all used to see each other twice a year.
We played each other twice a year. So it was just something that built up over years. A lot of words have been exchanged throughout those games and different things. And, he used to do some things that wasn't, I always tell people, like, if you knock me out, when we out here playing, it's part of the game. That's just what it is. Yeah. You had little things that he would do after plays, and I would tell him, like, yo, man, like, you need to, calm down with some of that stuff. And, it just went left, I did, I never thought it would get to that point, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, it was just a build up of things that had happened over time. And, I just lost my cool for a second, so.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I remember when that happened, a lot of people was coming to your defense like about time. Like, dang, I said, Cortland out there, man, ruffling feathers like that. A lot of people say by time, man. It's like, man.
It was things that you would even see on film he would do to other guys. And, it just got to a point I'm just like, man, I'm not letting that shit slide. Like, you only can let something slide for so long. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like to the point where I'm not letting it slide no more. And, I just, like I said, whatever happened, just happened.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, it did just happen, no question. And it's still out there. People still remember it. I'm gonna throw out a date to you, and let me see if you remember what happened on this date, November 18, 2012. You remember what happened on that date?
November 18, 2012.
No. Yeah, it was a Sunday. I think it was a Sunday. I'm going to give you a hint.
Jacksonville game.
14 catches, 273. You had the game-winning 48-yard touchdown to beat the Jaguars in overtime. What got you in the zone that day?
Man, I don't even know, man. I don't know. The ball just seemed to come my way.
I want to know how many targets you had because you got 14 catches.
I don't know, man. The ball just seemed to come my way a lot that day, and I didn't even realize I had those stats until after the game.
Yeah.
One of the reporters came up to me and after the game, and he was just like, "Man, like, what kind of zone you was in today?" And I'm just like, and I was just out there playing, like, doing whatever I needed to do to help my team win. So, but for some reason that day it just came to me a lot, man. And you know, it was a great feeling to, you know, get that walk off in overtime, man.
That walk off. You had 19 targets too, Dre.
Yeah, that's
I'm a big time fan. I don't know if you play fantasy. I'm in the fantasy world right now. That's heavy.
Yeah, that's big.
That's big numbers. That's big numbers. And now, you know, because of everything that you've been able to do throughout your football career, Dre, you have the luxury of being a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Football heaven is what the legends call it.
Right.
Man, how excited are you just to have your name as a semifinalist right now?
Man, you know what? To be honest, B-Mac, it don't even feel real, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I get people that ask me about it all the time, and I can't really, you know, it's a great honor. You know, at the end of the day, it's a great honor. I'm very, very grateful for it. But it just doesn't feel real because, you know, as a kid, we all had this dream of just playing in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, we're not in the street playing football like, oh, I'm gonna make it to the NFL Hall of Fame. Is always, you know, I just want to play for the NFL. I want to play, you know, play for the Texans. Like, you know, I was a huge Dolphin fan, you know, growing up, being from Miami. So my whole thing, I used to say, man, I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna play in that stadium one day. I want to play for the Dolphins. You know, we never sit there and say, you know, one day I'm gonna make it in the NFL Hall of Fame. And just to be mentioned in that, man, it's crazy. It's surreal. Like I said, it just don't feel real, man. It just shows, you know, what you gave to the game, you know, everything you given to the game and your accomplishments as you played it. So I'm truly honored, man, just to even be mentioned.
Man, me personally, man, I think you should be a first ballot. I played against you. I know how much a game plan went into trying to slow you down, and you still dominated, and you dominated with quarterbacks that weren't considered to be the top tier like guys. Right. And you did it the right way. You know what I'm saying? You did it the right way. So, you know, at the end of the day, just having your name in that conversation always is a win anyway. But I think me personally, man, no question, when it's all said and done, if I had a vote, man, no question. That's the guy you had to buckle up your chin strap and make sure your cleats tied on tight. And sometimes you might need to tell that safety, hey, just lean just a little bit. Just a little bit. Hey, man, because when 80 out here with them J's on, 80 looking to do numbers. So I might need you to lean just a little bit. But, hey, man, we're going to see what happened. But, man, we supporting you here, and we're going to get it rolling right now. First ballot. Everybody who checking us out right now, if you don't understand what it means to be a first ballot like wide receiver, go look at Dre numbers, look at who he did it against, look at who did it with. And the film don't lie. So, you know, we're going to see. And hopefully the Texans do a great job and go ahead and promote him and doing what they need to do to support you as well. So only time will tell. And speaking of the Houston Texans, man, what is your thought process? What's your thought process on the current state of the Houston Texans?
I think right now, you're just going through a rebuilding stage. I mean, that's pretty much it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I hope some way or another, we can find a way to keep Deshaun here.
Yeah.
I think, you know, having that guy on the field, man, even if you looked at what he did last year, got through for over 5,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they only won 2 games. He was still able to throw for over 5,000 yards. But, you know, he's a player that you don't want to let get away. Because you have him on the field, there's no doubt in my mind that you have a chance to win every game.
You know, I've
had a chance to witness it up close and personal. And I just hope, like I said, I just hope there's a way we can find a way to keep him here and not let him get out of here. But I just think right now it's just in a rebuilding stage and just getting the right guys in here and taking it step by step. So.
Okay. Last question. I'm going to let you go. If you can give me your Mount Rushmore of Houston Texans, right? The top 4 Texans to ever play for the organization. This is your Mount Rushmore. Nobody can argue with this is your list. Who is on that Mount Rushmore of Houston Texans?
Me.
Yep.
JJ.
Yep.
Aaron.
Yep. Samurai.
How many I got to pick?
We got one more.
One more?
Yep. You, Arian Foster, JJ. You got one more.
That's hard. I don't know. I can go back to when I first got here and I could say Aaron Glenn.
Oh, Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
Coaching now for the Detroit Lions. Or you could say, what about Newt, DeAndre?
Yeah, or you could say DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
So I think, if I went back, I would go Aaron Glenn. And
gotcha.
For our future, I would go with DeAndre.
That's fair. That's your list. This is your list. This is your list. Nobody can argue with your list. Hey, but Dre, man, listen, I appreciate you joining us here. All things covered. This candid conversation. And we're going to throw this into the universe right now. Future first ballot Hall of Famer.
I appreciate it, man.
Going into football heaven in Canton, Ohio, get that gold jacket. But Dre, when they get that, make sure you get it. They got it hemmed up real nice, man. Hemmed up nice for you.
Definitely. I'm going to make sure, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Appreciate you joining me, man. Stay safe, man. And let's see the Houston Texans get this thing back on track. They should listen to a guy like you. You're one of the best to ever do it in the organization. So, hey, keep letting it be known what they need to do.
I appreciate it, bro. I will.